Hello, and welcome to Epilagers. This is going to be a book club for fiction and nerd-like reading, created to enhance adulthood, brought to you by two emerging adults. I'm Jay.
I'm Shay.
And we're here to just shit on books for you.
Hopefully not all of them. I hope we like some of them.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll like at least some of them, but there's definitely going to be a few that we will not enjoy.
There will be a few flops.
Yeah. And remember that opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one.
And everyone is different.
Everyone's is different. Oh my
God.
Well, a little bit about ourselves. As a disclaimer, we will be using pseudonyms in this, so Shay and Jay are not our real names, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
The internet is a rough place out there, and we'd just like to keep a little bit more of our anonymity to ourselves, as we still have careers in our real life, and
we need to protect those careers that we have, because once you're an adult, they are precious to you.
Income is very precious, and we don't anticipate this podcast giving us that much income.
No. This is for funsies.
All right, well, we both do have a lot of animals. My dog, Evie, might make quite a few appearances in her barking, whining, and shaking.
She has a lot to say.
Yeah, that she always does. In addition to the Eve, we also have two cats, Otis and Oakley. Yes, we did choose both O names because we are losers like that. Otis is a cute orange, like nude buff tabby. He also is our little sick baby because he is like an immune deficiency problem, which causes him to have like eye buildup.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a constant issue. So we don't get to see his beautiful eyes anymore, but he's still a very adorable kitten. Oakley, on the other hand, is the fat ass of the family. He's a thick boy. Well, do you want to talk about your little special animals?
Special animals. You're going to hear about Jinx a lot. She is my cat. I am obsessed with her because she is the world's greatest cat.
She has an Insta.
She has an Instagram. It's Meow Jinx, if you would like to follow her. She's a tortoiseshell calico. She's 7 years old now. I actually found her while we were undergraduates. She's a dumpster baby.
A dumpster demon.
She's a dumpster demon. We frequently refer to her as the demon because she sees things and she's wild. Even at 7 years old, she's still absolutely wild. She has been on many adventures with me. She used to be the first cat of our fraternity, and she would come to meetings on a leash and preside over everyone. She loved it. She still likes to go for walks on her leash. She's pretty well trick trained to do a bunch of adorable little dog-like tricks. She's got a ton of health problems because she was a free cat. There is no such thing as a free animal, so she has asthma that she takes an inhaler for every day. She's mostly blind from being so sick. She's immunocompromised as well with the same thing that Otis has, so you also can't see her eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But she's the best, and she's frequently sitting on my lap while we're recording or while I'm doing anything at the computer. She's the perfect gamer cat.
Oh, she is.
So you'll be hearing about her a lot.
She's the best.
She's a perfect study buddy, really. Whether it's gaming or reading, she's always with me.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a crested gecko. I believe he's a flame crested gecko. His name is Smaug, because obviously...
Why not?
Why not? And I also actually have a horse. Her name is Red. She's a sorrel paint, if you are a horse person. and yeah, that is my small and strange family.
Oh, so different yet so cute. So a little bit about how Shay and I became friends. We both graduated from the same college.
An undescribed university.
Back in 2013.
Wow, that was painful. 2013 was 6 years ago.
Yeah. And then we ended up becoming roommates by the end.
Yeah, and then we roomed together I shouldn't say we always, but very quickly we lived in the same building. You lived in a single apartment below me where I lived with my roommate up in the attic. Mm-hmm. We lived in an old church that had been converted into apartments. yes, it was as creepy as it sounds.
It was amazing.
But it was amazing. And our last semester, because we were both super seniors, overachievers.
Best time of our lives. Always recommend a super senior semester.
Yeah, if you can drag college out for an extra semester, I recommend it. Don't graduate early. Who the hell is doing that? Stop doing that. Why on earth would you graduate early? College is so much fun.
Fucking losers.
It's the only time you can be a pretend adult while still living under like the blanket security that is college.
Yeah, it was amazing.
It was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
One of my most fond memories is how often we sat on the couch and played Minecraft because we are the nerdiest of nerds.
And instead of going out, no, we would do it for pregame, and then it just would turn into all-night game.
It would just turn into game. I remember we were sitting in sweatpants and a sweatshirt, drinking out of the same 2-liter of Coke.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Just sitting on the couch playing Minecraft, and someone texts us at like 8 o'clock, and they were like, hey, do you want to go out? Which really means that you still have like an hour to get ready.
Exactly.
And we're like, yeah, we'll go out. So we postpone getting ready for like 45 minutes. We set a timer. That's how we used to budget our time on Minecraft, was to set a timer on someone's phone and be like, we can only Minecraft for 35 minutes.
Then I have to write my paper.
I have to do homework. Yeah, and then I have to write a paper. So we played until 10. And we were like, no, meet us out. We'll meet you out. Yeah. And then we played until 11. And we're like, there's still time. The bars don't even close until 2. And nothing really gets going until 11.
Right, exactly.
And then we played until 4 in the morning.
We never made it out.
It was Friday.
We just stopped responding and pretended to fall asleep.
What a wild Friday.
Oh, yeah. After college, we still maintained most of those things, but we both... Oh, you know what? You didn't go on to your master's right away.
I had a couple jobs in between graduating from college and then coming back for my master's, one of which I moved to Massachusetts. And I think at that time you were going to school in New Jersey.
So yeah, immediately after college, I took a semester off. I took that spring semester off and then started my master's in exercise phys in fall of 14. So...
Mm-hmm. And I started my master's in the fall of 2016.
Yeah, the year I graduated, you started back up.
Yes. And fun fact, during the last semester of my master's at the university I was getting my master's at, you became an employee.
At that
and
same
we had
university.
One final semester. And fun fact number 2, that is the university that we graduated our undergraduate from. So I returned there for my master's, and you returned there to start working.
What would that be? 3-4 years later, we've returned for round 2, baby.
We returned.
Since you've graduated from your master's now, you've moved on to Michigan.
I'm in a molecular, cellular, and developmental biology program, in case there's any other biologists out there wondering what side I'm on. This is my first year in a PhD program, so this is actually I'm just starting my second semester tomorrow. So I'm still going through lab rotations. I don't have a lab yet, so if you're in a PhD program, you know that lab rotations are really stressful because you have no time to complete a project and you just live in that lab. And if you haven't done it, get ready.
Luck.
Get ready.
That's funny. I got my undergrad in sports medicine and then continued my master's on into exercise phys. And now I'm currently working in sports medicine at a university working with the athletic teams. So, and I'm still in our college town because I finally got my first big kid job and I can't move right away and I can't follow you.
I know. Sadly, we're separated again. This is actually kind of the story of our adult friendship, is that we drive all over the country to hang out with each other for a weekend.
Well, and that's kind of where this podcast came from. We both are still nerdy. We haven't grown out of it just yet.
We never will.
We both enjoy reading in our free time when we get it. And I've always wanted to have someone to talk to about the books that I'm reading. And since we don't usually read the same kind of books, I thought it would be funny if we tried each other's styles and tried to talk about them.
Yeah, so you've contributed some books that you've read before. I've contributed some books that I've read before. Are any of the books some that we have never read before, either of us.
I think there might be one or two. You said you didn't read Ender's Game, right?
I haven't read Ender's Game,
but
I have seen the movie.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think there might be like one or two, but for the most part, at least one of us has read them. Things like very mainstream, like the Hunger Games and stuff like that, we've both read and seen. So like that won't be anything new, but maybe on a second read, we'll find some new topics to talk about.
Right. And it's more fun for us to talk about them. And I don't know if anyone else has had this experience, but when you read a book and you love it, you want to talk to someone about it. And especially, I want to talk to you about it. So this is really an opportunity for us to share our favorite books together and have the joy of reading and sharing them together. And then I guess maybe somebody else listening to our experience.
Possibly sharing them with you.
Because I think it's tough when you're far away, and I think that's more and more common that we move around, you know, whether that's in a different state or in a different country. It's hard to stay connected, and it's fun to have something together.
So that will be this. And hopefully it turns out well.
Hopefully.
And if not, we're doing it for ourselves first and foremost anyway, so.
If not, fuck you. We're having a great time.
So yeah, we'll go ahead and talk about our book interest since we've already kind of dabbled in that. I am very much a young adult smut fan.
I love that you use the word smut.
Yeah. I just go online and read all like the fan fictions or read everyone's like ideas about it and go on Goodreads and Amazon and read all the reviews. And the word smut came to me from there. I had no idea what it was until I started reading online shit. And I was like, hell yeah, this is amazing. But yeah, I mean, things like books that I like are, you know, the Hunger Games. I just finished a long series from Sarah J. Maas, which is the Throne of Glass series that I really liked. I think the biggest thing to take from what we both like is fantasy fiction, right? We like magic and dragons and wizards and flying cars. And stuff like that. So most of our books will be geared in the fantasy fiction, nerdy kinds of reading. I just personally like young adult, whereas I don't think Shay quite feels the same way.
I don't feel the same way. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have read my share of young adult literature, particularly when I was younger. I read Twilight. I read parts of it. So I read the first
Don't kid yourself.
and second, I think, and then I just couldn't take it anymore and I already hated it. I read Harry Potter. That's young adult, I would say. But I much more prefer just like traditional science fiction / fantasy category. When I was a kid, I got my hands on Garth Nix, who's a very dark fantasy writer. One of my favorite books of all time is Sabriel, that is definitely on the list, which is the story of a young necromancer. So that's pretty dark. I also started his series Keys to the Kingdom, which is super bizarre and really dark. And I loved it so much when I was young that it kind of derailed me from the young adult literature, I think, because it wasn't... I don't know how to describe it. It just, it wasn't my flavor anymore. I was annoyed by romance, and I wanted more of the
action,
dark and bloody science fiction.
Right, yeah. And I think the young adult is really written, you know, not kid-like, because it's not, they will have sex and shit in young adult books.
Oh,
so it's not, for young teens by any means. Children. But, the having to always find your true love and gag worthy stories like that. I still joke they are gag worthy, but you know, they are fulfilling in, you know, adulthood where you just kind of want that escape. And so you like it in blood and guts, and I like makeout sessions.
Yeah, I mean, there's something for everyone in science fiction. If you think you're not nerdy enough to read it, that's definitely not the case. No. Because so often these are stories, they're human stories. They just take place in a kind of fantastical way.
Yep. Yeah, so some books that we have added into this year, which will be dystopia, and kind of include things like Ender's Game, The Maze Runner. You brought Uglies to the table, which is from a trilogy.
Yeah, that's young adult for sure.
I'm excited. Hunger Games. It looks like you also brought Bartimaeus.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite books of all time.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, and then Divergent, Delirium, and we're still picking a couple more for the dystopia theme. So if anyone has any ideas out there, shoot them our way.
Yeah, please.
In addition to reading books for this podcast, we will also be sampling some amazing craft beer.
Because sometimes you need to drink a little bit to forget about being an adult.
Right. We read to get out of our reality, and sometimes beer helps you do that.
And we drink as the rocket ship to take us there.
Oh, yeah. Well, what kind of beers do you usually like? I don't even think I'm sure if I know the answer to this.
Oh, yeah, actually, I would like you to guess.
All right, well, if it's anything like your reading style, I'm going to guess you're like a heavier, darker beer. Let's go ahead and guess like some stouts, but not too heavy. Like we're not talking like Russian Imperial. We're talking just like a normal chocolatey, light, crisp stout.
That is exactly how I would describe my drinking preference. I like stouts above all. I don't like most imperial stouts.
No,
I've
they're
tried
hard.
a couple of them. Yeah, they're difficult. So a while ago, so years and years and years ago, my brother and I did a vacation in
Ireland.
Europe.
Yeah.
We went to England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. And when we went to Ireland, obviously we hit the Guinness factory. And for anyone who wants to try a darker beer, there's a trick to it. So if you are going to drink a dark beer, you need to take a gulp. We're not talking sips. There are no sips for dark beer because it's going to taste like ass. So
fill your mouth with that chocolatey goodness.
You need to fill your mouth. So the head or the foam of dark beers is usually very, very sweet. So what you want to do is take a really big gulp, and the foam is what lingers on your tongue and makes it sweet. Ooh. And that's how you get the best like chocolatey feel. I love chocolate stouts. I love coffee stouts. I like oatmeal and milkshake stouts.
Wow.
Anything that's dark like my soul.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, based on my reading styles, what kind of what kind of beers do you think I would like?
Well, I know for a fact that you have a problem with Indian pale ales.
Oh, yeah. Very good memory.
I remember you saying that you don't like those.
God, they're so hoppy and terrible.
Yeah. I don't like hop flavor that much either, which is funny because Guinness is one of my favorite stouts, and it's actually toasted hops. That's what gives it the dark flavor.
Well, yeah, and I'm pretty sure like that's
color.
One of the hoppier stouts.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I do like that. Maybe I have to have the hops cooked. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you are a beer drinker, so I'm going to say it's got to be a little bit more refined of a beer taste than...
Ooh, baby. Pinky up.
Then pinky up and drink that beer. I'm going to guess maybe lagers.
Okay.
Like, maybe fruitier lagers.
Good word,
I know you like ciders, so
Mm-hmm.
like fruity. I don't know. I feel like wheat beers might also be too light, but I bet you would appreciate a like good fruit wheat beer and then some lagers with like a crisp, cleaner taste.
Yes, very good. That is, it's not 100% spot on, but that is very close. I do appreciate a good strawberry wheat from Sam Adams. That's a very good staple to have in the fridge.
Sam Adams.
But I've actually transitioned in my adulthood so far from one type of beer to another. And I don't know why, but my significant other and I have been talking about how he thought it was crazy that I was saying that I no longer like Belgians. I used to really enjoy Belgians, Belgian doubles, Belgian triples. But since then, I've been I continued to get those when I would go out and stopped liking them. And since then, I've transitioned to wheat lagers, and my ultimate, if there is a sour on the menu,
Oh.
120%. I'm getting it. Doesn't matter if it's guava, lime, whatever. I don't care. Raspberries, honestly, raspberries are probably the best. But anything, I'm going to get it. I don't care. I love it. Ciders,
I can't
sours,
believe I missed that.
and wheats are my ultimate go-tos.
I wanted to add something to... Oh, I was going to say, one of the reasons that I'm so excited to do this is because anyone out there who has the experience of being a scientist as your job, it's hard to turn your brain off when you leave. So a lot of times I'm in lab for like 8 to 10 to sometimes 12 or 16 or that one time 24 hours a day. And you just kind of get in the routine of constantly thinking about science. And then when you leave, you usually have homework or you have some additional articles that you need to read or you're looking up some new techniques and you're always doing science. And it's hard to turn your brain off and think about something else. And for me, especially when I'm trying to go to sleep. So I like to have these like science fiction, fantasy reading times as like a religious thing that I do where I read, even if it's just for 10 minutes at night. And I know that seems like such little time, but as an adult, sometimes that's all you can manage.
Yeah.
And I just need that time to step into a different universe and
de-stress,
put myself in a different world, and then go to sleep maybe thinking about dragons and knights and spaceships instead of pipettes and beakers and model organisms.
Yeah, I can feel you on that. Listening to podcasts is a good escape for me too. When I don't listen to the radio in the car anymore. I really only listen to podcasts because I don't know, something about listening to two people or a person talk about something that they enjoy can make you feel better and like you enjoy listening to it because they're having a good time.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of D&D podcasts because, fantasy fiction, why the fuck not?
Yep. We both play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, I mean, listening to like Join the Party, and I listen to like Second Best D&D, and obviously the Adventure Zone, which is the big one right now, or has always been. I also listen to like Jenna and Julian podcast, Jenna Marbles from YouTube and her boyfriend Julian. Like they're hilarious and they play fun games all the time.
Yeah.
What are some podcasts that you like listening to?
I'm bad at finding new podcasts. I'm bad at finding new anything really. So
yeah,
this series is essential for me getting new books. I listen almost exclusively or perhaps exclusively to Multitude.
Yeah.
So I listen to Potterless, Join the Party, and Spirits.
Yeah, Multitude is a great organization. I love them. Mike Shube from Potterless is goals.
Goals. Hashtag goals.
Oh, he's fun. So yeah, speaking of other podcasts, what you can really expect from this podcast, we are going to be breaking every one of our books that we're doing into 2 separate episodes, a prologue and an epilogue. Haha, pun intended. The prologue will be, like the first 10 to 25% of the book where we're talking about how it's getting on its feet, like some of the world building.
Setting up expectations, making predictions.
Yeah, exactly. In the second episode, the epilogue, we will finish the book and talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, characters that we loved, characters that we hated, in comparison to other books that we've read, and whether or not we were right about our predictions and stuff like that. Just talking about the books and finding a cure for that book hangover. Our goal, our hope is that you would read along with us. Like, we want you to read the first half of the book and listen to our first episode and then finish the book with us. We'd love for you to join the discussion on Twitter and Instagram, where we will be posting, hopefully regularly. We might also open a Reddit account or a Discord so we can all join the discussion together. But yeah, if you would like to read along with us and experience the book with us, whether you've read or not read it before, is our ultimate goal.
Yeah. We'll be letting you know what books we're going to read so that you can kind of catch up and get ahead if you would like to be able to stay on track.
Yeah. Speaking of Twitter and Instagram.
Plug.
You can follow us at Epilagers Pod. Epilagers, not like an epilogue, more like a lager, like a beer. EPILAGERS pod on Twitter and Instagram. Last but not least, remember that we will be talking about the book. We will be sharing spoilers. We will be revealing the plot in its entirety. So if you haven't read the book and you want to and not be spoiled, you should not listen to at least the second epilogue episode of every book, because that will be the entire book. Prologue, more or less, is just, the beginning of the book. You shouldn't be spoiled of too much.
Right, what you might be able to glean from reading the back cover description.
Yeah, pretty much. But that's all for now. Until next time, remember the best way to tackle adulthood is to keep a book in one hand
and a beer in the other.
Talk to you soon on Epilagers.
Bye-bye.